News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moskow.
Karen, we begin with the latest on the U.S. trade war with Canada and Mexico. President Trump is giving a 1-month reprieve from 25% tariffs to goods covered under the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. The president says he made the move after speaking with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum about drug and immigrant flows.
We're working much harder lately. Do you notice that? On people coming in and drugs, and we've made tremendous progress on both.
Still, the president says the break won't last after April 2nd. That is when he has promised reciprocal tariffs on a range of countries, and he says he's not concerned about the market sell-off that followed the new tariffs.
Basically, you have globalist companies that have been ripping us off that won't be able to rip us off any longer.
President Trump's decision means automobiles and parts that meet USMCA requirements will be exempt from tariffs, but about 62% of Canadian imports will still be subject to a 25% duty.
Well, Nathan, Canada is responding to President Trump's tariff pause with one of its own. It's delaying a second phase of retaliatory tariffs on U.S. steel, aluminum, and cars until April 2nd. It was supposed to take effect March 25th. Canada has already imposed 25% tariffs on about $21 billion in American goods. Those duties will remain in effect.
And meanwhile, Karen, China remains under 20% tariffs from the U.S., and now the country's top diplomat is blasting President Trump, saying he's taking a hypocritical approach to bilateral ties. We get more from Bloomberg's Stephen Engel at the National People's Congress in Beijing.
Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi is known for having a rather sharp tongue, and today, in a 1.5-hour-long press conference in Beijing, he did not disappoint, attacking the Trump administration on a number of fronts, including trade. Of course, the Trump administration doubled down on its tariff action against China earlier this week, raising it to 20%, and China, of course, retaliated. But Wang twice referred to the Trump administration as employing the law of the jungle, veiled reference, of course, to the Trump policies on trade. He called on larger nations, another veiled threat against the United States, to act responsibly and not resort to flexing its large muscles and fists. He says China opposes double standards, trickery, and bullying. Stephen Engel, Bloomberg News, Beijing.
All right, Stephen, thank you. We now turn to the latest developments in the war in Ukraine. 26 European Union leaders have backed a declaration of support for Ukraine at an emergency meeting in Brussels. Hungary's Russia-friendly Prime Minister Viktor Orban was the only one who did not sign on. French President Emmanuel Macron said the EU needs to boost defense spending.
Given the threat and whatever happens in Ukraine, we need to increase our defense capabilities, and we need to build, in the next few years, autonomous defense capabilities for Europeans.
French President Emmanuel Macron spoke through an interpreter as the U.S. pares back its protective role. President Trump has suggested the U.S. might abandon its NATO commitments if other members don't meet defense spending targets.
Well, Karen, uncertainty over tariffs led to a volatile week on Wall Street. Bloomberg's John Tucker's here with the update, but John, the week's not over yet.
Well, take heart, Nathan. The weekend's almost here. Okay. Now, as you just heard, the idea of a Trump put has pretty much evaporated after the president said, quote, "I'm not even looking at the market." Well, the NASDAQ 100 from its peak is down almost 10%. That's the level that would mark a correction. The S&P 500 is on track for its worst week since September. And underscoring this growing risk aversion, stocks failed to stage a rebound even after the president delayed those tariffs on Mexican and Canadian goods. For Steve Cheveron at Federated Hermes, the markets are becoming more reasonably priced.
I think that wall of worry is going to get knocked down or taken down brick by brick as we get in the second half of the year. So more pain to come, but we see a much, much better second half.
And it's not just stocks at this point. Oil continues its slump. That's on the idea of slower growth. It's going to lead to slower demand. The largest digital asset, Bitcoin, that is lower. That's even after President Trump signed an executive order creating a strategic digital token reserve. The details, however, fell short of industry expectations. In New York, I'm John Tucker, Bloomberg Radio.
Thanks, John. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Karen Moskow.
I'm Nathan Hager, and this is Bloomberg.